NXT took over London yesterday on the WWE Network, and we're going to take over your viewing time by discussing what exactly happened on that show. So with that being said, hey YouTube, are you ready for your hot tag? Because if you are, it is time to warp.
Gentlemen, do not adjust your screen. I am in control of the horizontal and the vertical. This is Big Ram. You're watching WGS-TV, and I came all the way here just to find him. I've been looking for him since WrestleCon. Please believe it.
Greetings YouTube, you have warped your way into another episode of WGS-TV right here on youtube.com/WrestleGamer. I am WrestleGamer. Don't believe only Bujo. Today is Thursday, December 17th, 2015. And before we get into what the meat and bones of what this video is going to be, it's going to be the review of NXT Takeover London. Something really odd and peculiar appeared on WWE's YouTube channel. I'm going to bring in my fellow reviewer for this video, Rick Head, to just kindly give a reaction to it, because apparently now, I don't know what WWE is doing now, especially when they released a video on their YouTube channel earlier today, Rick, of Kane apparently having an issue with the mascot of Toys R Us holding a Seth Rollins action figure.
Are you actually shocked that WWE would do something like that? And, you know, it just shows that WWE is more G-rated than they are PG-rated. You know, we've talked in the past about how WWE does have that little gray area where they kind of like, the lines aren't solid. They kind of just do, but if you notice, they go more towards the G direction more than the PG-13. I think they do the PG-13 area just to keep some of the older fans, you know, excited, but it's all for naught, to be honest.
Well, with all things considered, with Christmas just 8 days away, do you think this is more like holiday oriented for kids, and WWE kind of pitching that video towards the kids that follow WWE?
Absolutely. You know, WWE, as I've always called them, they are the marketing whore of the wrestling industry. And, you know, as much as, you know, I sneer at that, you got to respect it because it's big money. And if they know they can get other businesses to follow them and, you know, create commercials, you know, so be it.
So with that being said, guys and gals, let's get this review started. As we look at the opening match on NXT Takeover London, it was Asuka taking on Amore, who's accompanied by Dana Brooke. And Dana, now correct me if I'm wrong, Rick, I might be over-exaggerating when I make this statement, but did Dana Brooke kind of look like a dominatrix out there?
Well, the outfit certainly was sexy. I wouldn't say a dominatrix, but she was trying to go in a different direction with her. You know, maybe she was trying to get some attention, because if she just came out in her regular clothes, but what you call the leather dominatrix outfit, I'd say it definitely could head in that direction. But you know, she didn't have the you know, the cat and nine tails and you know the you know, supersized arm fist boner, you know, like a dildo. So. Oh. I can't really see that.
Well, one of the things I brought up on the Facebook page, especially when I was covering it live on Facebook.com/WGS-TV, is the fact that why can't Divas matches like this, like Asuka versus Emma, and this really was a really good match. Compared to main roster Divas standards, this was an amazing match in my personal opinion. But the thing I want to bring up, Rick, is why can't main roster Divas matches be as good as what we saw out of Asuka and Emma? Because that was an extremely competitive match. It was really well done, and normally, the only thing we see on Vince McMahon, the only thing Vince McMahon would let them do is just prance around and be eye candy. When Asuka and Emma can be eye candy and have really great matches.
Well, I have to give it to, first off, let me give it to Emma. I was impressed. Usually Emma, when I see her wrestle, I could usually care less. But on a technical level, she did a great match. And as far as to answer your other question as to why the WWE doesn't allow them to do some of the things that they do down at NXT, because NXT is their development. They want to see what they can do. They want to look at their whole move list, and they're going to say, oh, yeah, that works. Yeah, that works. Oh, no, that, and that doesn't work, because as you know, that WWE is being a lot more injury conscientious, and doing so, they have to limit their move sets. People always blame, and a little bit off the subject, people blame John Cena for having the 5 moves of Doom, and that's just not the case. It's just the WWE giving them a certain list of what they can work with. It's also a reason, again, way off the subject, it's also why David Hart Smith left, because they cut his moves down to nothing.
Yeah, definitely. But I hope. Now, I'm not saying that they will, but I can just hope for the day that WWE Creative, Road Dogg, and Vince McMahon open up their eyes and realize what a valuable asset the female talent that they have can contribute to their product. And I've said this for the longest time. Good in-ring female talent cannot hurt your product. It can help your product.
I agree. And, you hit the nail on the head about the creative team. You have Vince McMahon, who just is too old-fashioned. He does not know how to change. You can't teach an old dog new tricks, as much as I hate to say it. And as far as Road Dogg goes, he sugarcoats anything just to keep pretty much for his job. I remember a time where Road Dogg was bitching about the WWE and all their problems, but now once he got a job, everything's all hunky-dory with him.
Yeah, and that really makes no sense to me whatsoever. But anyway, Asuka would end up getting the victory, but basically Emma got knocked the hell out from a spin kick from Emma, and from Asuka, and needless to say, basically Asuka's really going to be something to contend with in NXT. Now, will they sugarcoat her and water her down in WWE when they bring her to the main roster? I hope not. Because then that would take away from the entire mystique of what made Asuka, aka Kana, so unique in the wrestling industry. For those of you who, there was a kind of a unique type of a GIF. But the one thing I will say is, go on either the HWR chat room group on Facebook or on facebook.com/WGS-TV to kind of see a little bit of a unique gif of Asuka and somebody else, and let's just say she kind of gets a little fatal attraction type of close to her. I don't know how else to describe that.
Let's just say she gave her partner good looking.
If you want to know what we're talking about, be sure you go on either the HWR chat room Facebook group or on WGS-TV's Facebook page to check that out. Now let's look at the Tag Team Championship. Dash and Dawson taking on Enzo Amore and Colin Cassady. My first question to you, Rick, is what in the blue hell was Enzo Amore wearing?
I don't know. It looked like he was trying to, like a big Michael Jackson fan back in the 80s, and he decided to pull that out. But he... Enzo Amore, I respect him for trying to be over the top and very, charismatic, but he's just not doing it for me. I'm sorry. I think, when we see the day that Cass and Enzo do split up, we're going to see big Cass going, rise to the top. And what happens to Enzo Amore, I really could care less.
Now, what was your take on the response from the London crowd? We know how over Enzo Amore and Colin Cassady are in Full Sail University. We've seen it also in NXT Takeover Brooklyn. But what was your take on the reaction, the response they received in London?
It's all about just, I guess, different strokes for different folks. Here over in the U.S., we have our own opinions, and then when you go over to the UK, it's just different cultures. There's no real logical explanation for either ones. I'm sure some of the stuff that we cheer for over in the UK, they're looking at us like, why are you cheering for that? That's a bunch of idiots. And if you don't believe us, you can always ask the son of a bitch Andy, who is British and is very opinionated, and many times him and I do clash.
Yep, definitely. But anyway, overall for the match, it was a really good tag match between these two, and it would end up with Dash and Dawson getting the finish with the Shattering Machine off the top rope on Enzo Amore. So Dash and Dawson end up retaining the NXT Tag Team Championship. So it was a really good match. Now, Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin, I'm going to see wherever Baron Corbin goes nowadays, he's just going to get booed, and he definitely got booed in London. But when it comes to the meat and bones of what the match was, Rick, it could have gone either way. There were a lot of people thinking that Baron Corbin was going to go over, and a lot of you yourself even told me that you were expecting Apollo Crews to go over, and you ended up being wrong with Baron Corbin actually going over on Apollo Crews. And I do believe that this was Apollo Crews' first pinfall defeat in NXT.
Yeah, you know what, and sometimes I like being wrong. I mean, when something looks so obviously and so predictable and they spin it in a totally different direction, I'm like, wow. And that's what you want to see. We've said how many times if it becomes predictable, it becomes boring. Sometimes, the execution kind of makes up for it, but if you still know who's going to win walking into the match, it's just, again, it's like, it becomes a moot point. Yeah. Even, like I said, Miss Jack Shit, who was in the background listening to this, she has only been watching wrestling for about a year, maybe a year and a half. And even she said, I can predict some of these matches.
Now, before the NXT Women's Championship match took place, there was an interview being conducted backstage with Nia Jax, and for some reason, Asuka appeared. And there was basically a little bit of a confrontation between these two. And considering, if you look at it, would you kind of call this the female equivalent of the Big Show versus Floyd Money Mayweather in a sense, Rick?
I see where you're going with it, because Nia Jax she's a big woman, and she almost reminds me of like a Karma / Awesome Kong. So she is definitely going to be one of those types that is going to be very, very dominant. And if you want to put it in that other aspect, Big Show, Rey Mysterio Jr., who's going to go over is who the WWE really wants to push at that point in time. Asuka's really red hot right now, and Nia Jax is starting to get hot. So it's going to be a torn cost if and when that match does happen.
Considering the striking ability that Asuka's displayed in the ring, along with the submissive style that she has as well, going against the out-and-out power style of Nia Jax, it is basically two clashes of the Titans in a sense. Asuka's been basically almost unstoppable ever since she came into NXT, and Nia Jax, to an extent, would fall into that exact same category. So put those two forces together against each other will make for a really great match. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they can do with that. But now the Bayley, Nia Jax, the NXT Women's Championship on the line. Honestly, I was wrong about this one. I actually thought that they were going to put the title, up until yesterday, I actually thought they were going to put the title on Nia Jax until we saw the confrontation with Asuka. That would lead me to believe that they're going to take her in an entirely different direction, which would tell me that they're not going to put the title on her. Because right now, honestly, they would not need the title on Nia Jax to sustain a storyline between her and Asuka, to be honest. I think it would probably be a collision to see who's the best, who's the better fighter in the ring. And right now, we still don't know the answer to that question. But when it comes to this matchup, for one thing, I kind of never... I don't think Bayley could possibly get the Bayley to belly on Nia Jax, but the way that they had her wear her down, especially with the finish being the guillotine choke, was almost kind of predictable in a sense, Rick, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I have to admit, I really saw. I mean, don't get me wrong, Bayley. She has slowly started to impress me. For the longest time, I'm shocked that she would get the title, because I was never really impressed with her. But you see these two fight each other, and I look and I'm like, really? I mean, that makes no sense, because Nia Jax was dominating 75 to 85% of that match without even breaking a sweat, and then Bayley comes back and pins and makes her submit. It's just, it's not believable. You look at it and it's like, huh? That'd be like, Big Show, Hornswoggle beating Big Show.
David and Goliath, in a sense.
Yeah, times 3.
Exactly. But Bayley ends up getting the win, retains the NXT Women's Championship, and now on to the main event, on to the NXT Heavyweight Championship, Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe. And there were a few things that we actually, we were talking yesterday about this, that we actually kind of clashed on when it pertains to WWE's usage of Finn Balor, or the demon persona of Finn Balor. First off, they did a Jack the Ripper style entrance, and it's so befitting because the story of Jack the Ripper was so prevalent in the London, England area, and the way they portrayed that and the way they actually emerged that entrance, I love watching the demon entrances, Rick. You gotta give them that. As much as you don't like the way that it's being used, you gotta love those entrances. They're really good.
And absolutely, I think he does the whole demon body paint. The thing is, my only issue with Finn Balor, and I want to make it clear that I am very impressed with Finn Balor, but they're not using the demon enough. They're trying to they have their logic is that they only want to have him on pay-per-views so fans don't get quote unquote sick of it, and I find that very hard to believe. When you have wrestlers who's used like body paint or face paint, like Gold Dust. He has face paint, literally all over his face, and that's not something easy to do. Jeff Hardy's done it. Sting, imagine Sting coming in the ring only half the times, without any face paint on. The fans wouldn't get behind him, if they had kept his face paint while he was in the back or off and just had him straight, then as Finn Balor, the wrestler, I could buy that. I would be able to see that. He says, okay, it's time to put my war paint on.
Rick, can I point out one flaw in that analogy that you just used involving Sting? If you think back to when, in TNA, when Sting was in TNA, I know a lot of WWE fans are saying, oh, why are you talking about TNA? TNA doesn't exist. Yes, TNA does exist. Regardless of how bad of a sinking ship it is, it still exists. But think back to when they first did Sting as the general manager of sorts with TNA. Whenever he would come out for just basically a promo or anything backstage, he would never have his face paint on. However, whenever he would get geared up for a match, the face paint would be on.
That's what I'm talking about. You just made my point for me even more so. Sting would come out as a general manager, so he was, he didn't need his quote-unquote war paint. He had a couple of promos in the ring. He had promos in the back, and if you notice, one thing he would always do is 9 out of 10 times he didn't have face paint on, he would wear sunglasses. That was just Sting's thing. But they should be doing the very same thing, taking a page out of Sting's book and doing that with Finn Balor. And I think both sides would work. Because when Finn Balor comes out and crawls around without the face paint, he looks like a fucking idiot. It's just that simple.
Well, here's why I disagree with you on this sense of the usage of the demon. Because of the fact that the entire gimmick isn't surrounded by the gimmick. The entire gimmick is not based on the demon. The demon is only one aspect of the entire Finn Balor gimmick. Now, the guys that you bring up, and let me point this out to you. First off, with Goldust's gimmick, it is really dependent on the unusual garb, the unusual attire, and the face paint. You've never seen Goldust without the face paint. Whenever he doesn't have that face paint, he's not known by Goldust. He's known by either Dustin Rhodes or Dustin Runnels. Whenever he has that face paint on, it's Goldust. And the same thing could be concluded about the Stardust gimmick as well, because we can't call him Cody Rhodes when he's wearing the face paint. When he's wearing the face paint, he's in his Stardust attire. He's known as Stardust.
But here's the thing. If they just called him the demon and not the demon Finn Balor, it doesn't, you know what I mean? The alter ego thing for me doesn't work.
You know what? No, wait, no, let me cut you off. If they would have gone as the demon Finn Balor, then I would say that possibly then the usage of the face paint and the entrances, could be really mandated every part of the time, because when you say the demon Finn Balor, then you're addressing it as the entire part of his gimmick. You're saying that
you're right.
Your whole gimmick is the demon Finn Balor. But in this instance, when WWE and the way they're using him, it's not the demon Finn Balor. It's just Finn Balor, and the demon is a part of the gimmick. Finn Balor.
And again, that's WWE logic. That's WWE theory saying, "Oh, we can make this right. We'll only put it on him half the time." as I said before earlier, it's WWE just trying to find an end way around it, so that way fans are like, why is he only dressed this way? Oh, it's his alter ego. Wow.
Now, if they would have had him like as Prince Devitt, the name that he established for himself over in New Japan, all in every other aspect of the world, then I would say yeah, because the Prince Devitt gimmick, it was always surrounded by the face paint. You know, it was really mandated, as part of his gimmick to have that face paint on, and that's really how he made himself stand out from everybody else before he came into NXT. Now, when he debuted in NXT, he did not debut as Prince Devitt. He debuted as Finn Balor, an entirely new persona, an entirely new gimmick, and WWE is allowing him to play with the creativity of what he did as Prince Devitt, as part of the demon character, as part of the demon persona. And I can tell you for one reason and one reason only why they're allowing him to do that, and that's merchandising.
Well, let me ask you this, and here's an honest question. If you had a choice of all straight Finn Balor or all the demon, your choice, you can't do half and half. You have to have one or the other. Which one would you prefer?
I would prefer the demon one, honestly, because again, there's more air to it, there's more mystique to it when it comes to it. But WWE Creative does not see that in that aspect, and
because they don't want to spend. It's the man time. I admit that doing all that kind of body paint as opposed to face paint takes hours. I completely understand, but the point is they only want to do that just because they figure, Takeover, Finn Balor's going to be the demon, so they want to go run and see him. But as far as the match itself, great match. It was greatly executed, but it was all too predictable. Finn Balor's in his hometown or home country of the UK. They're not.
He's Irish. He's Irish. He's Irish.
Oh, he's Irish. Okay, well, I thought Irish was okay. Well, anyway. My mistake, guys. He sounded Brit to me, but I didn't really know where he hailed from. So he's from. I don't remember what part of Ireland he's from, but he's always introduced as being from Ireland. You do know that the Ireland is part of the UK, right?
Yeah, exactly. But he's not exactly in his home country. In England.
He's in the UK. I apologize if I misconstrued it, but the point is, they don't want him losing on his homeland. Whatever town it was, whatever city or country it was in the UK.
But one thing we've always said, especially when it pertains to the way matches goes, guys and gals, whenever a match becomes predictable, it becomes boring. However, there is one mighty exception to that rule, and that is match performance. And Samoa Joe and Finn Balor had that. They had great match performance. I think they had good chemistry in that ring. They worked a really good match, and I gotta say, it was fantastic seeing that. Now, where do they go next from there? It remains to be seen. But anyway, guys and gals, overall score on NXT Takeover London is going to get a solid 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed the show. I thought it was very, very good. There was a really good strong opening with Asuka and Emma. And of course, I think Asuka's like a 10 on the hotness scale. I mean, yeah, guys and gals, I admit it. I have a bit of the yellow fever. It was a really great match with Samoa Joe and Finn Balor. I loved the Jack the Ripper entrance. I thought it was really well done. And again, even though despite the fact it was predictable, however, the match performance was there, and therefore it was still a really good match to watch. My best match of the night, I've definitely got to go to Finn Balor and Samoa Joe. Again, the air of the Jack the Ripper entrance, and how well and how good these two talents really are. And Samoa Joe and Finn Balor, really great talents, and they're both in NXT working a match against each other. Again, it made for a really great match. And honestly, guys, I don't have a worse match or segment of the night at all, because NXT overall is by far the better product of WWE than Raw or SmackDown right now. And it was that good of a show. It was that good of a show, and I definitely want to see. I really, really want them to pick up and do something with Nia Jax and Asuka. I really want to see where they go from there with that. I really want to see that. But anyway, Rick, over to you. Your overall score and your picks for best and worst match of NXT Takeover London.
As far as the overall, I'll give it a solid 4 myself. The end of the match, the main event was really great. I'd have to give also an honorable mention to Asuka, and that match was really phenomenal. As far as probably one of the worst matches was, I had to give it to Nia and Bayley because it just didn't. It just wasn't viable. It was like, yeah. The fact that she won was just like a tongue-in-cheek victory, if you ask me.
Well, anyway, guys and gals, on that note, what we want to know from you guys out there, the viewers and subscribers, your thoughts on NXT TakeOver London. What are your overall scores? What are your picks for best and worst match or segment of NXT TakeOver London? And don't forget, guys, next week on NXT, they will show the return to the ring of Sami Zayn. And for some odd reason, I don't know why, WWE couldn't even wait till next week until they'd actually play the match with Sami Zayn, because they worked a lot of pre-taped stuff. Also in London as well, which is why we only saw only 5 matches on the card, because they did a lot of other stuff for pre-taping as well. And I just don't understand, Rick, in my personal opinion, as to why WWE could not wait until next week to post up that video of Sami Zayn addressing the crowd after his match with Ty Dillinger.
I think the reason why they wanted him to come over on next week's NXT was because if he did it on this week, obviously the huge fans wanted, would have gotten another big pop, but they figured save that pop for next week.
Yeah, but why post the video on WWE's YouTube channel? Why not wait until after the entire thing happens next week for Sami Zayn's advertised return and have that as a WWE.com exclusive? Why post the video of the match, of what he said after the match yesterday, and not wait until next week?
Well, yeah, that's, I don't know. I guess that's WWE logic again. They just...
And we have that up in quotation marks.
Yeah, exactly. Or mislogic, if you really want to, if you're not sure what we mean. But, some things you just can't explain or understand. You could call it whether it was somebody foobarred up in the production center, or they just figured, oh, well, not a lot of people are going to watch it. But just in case, I can't really wrap my head around it.
Well, anyway, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Rick, where can fans check you out on HWR?
Well, they can always check us out over in the group section on Facebook.com under the name HWR chat room. Excuse me. Get in there. We want you. We're looking for those really fans who want to say what they want, how they want to say it, with all the bullshit rules that other face groups have. Don't do this or don't do that. You got something to say about wrestling? Come on over and say it. Also, if you want to check out any of our podcasts, we're over on youtube.com/HWR show. And this weekend, guys, HWR is going to have our year-end awards. So if you want to take part in it, head over to our chat room and look at the nominees.
WGS-TV is on Facebook, facebook.com/WGS-TV. Be sure you like up that Facebook page. And guys and gals, whenever I do coverage of any live shows when it pertains to either WWE, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Ring of Honor, or anything like that, I always give you guys the opportunity to have your voices heard right here on the reviews by submitting your reviews to facebook.com/WGS-TV or on Twitter @TheWrestleGamer. You guys will get a shout out as well. You can also ask me questions. All the links will be provided in the description box below. And as always, guys and gals, I'll have a couple of videos in the annotations at the end of this video for you guys to check out as well. So with that being said, for the hardcore host of Hardcore Wrestling Radio, Rick Ken, I am the WrestleGamer. Double Beam and Boudreaux saying we'll see ya at the next Warp Zone.
WGS-TV is sponsored by Val Venus's Captain Cannabis Products. Get your weed on.
Just a second, and I'm not sure if that message was on the personal chat or if it's in the group chat. Oh, he just logged on. Okay, second one, blue and red, no LED, no star.